Here we are, Friday, March 11th, and we're going to be talking about Never Enough, Part 2. On Wednesday, we considered how anxiety and stress can arise when we're not feeling enough to deal with whatever it is we're facing, and how that can lead us into what ifing that can eventually turn into catastrophizing. Today, however, we're going to take a slightly different perspective on never enough. And it is how acquiring and accomplishing, the acquiring and accomplishing we engage in an effort to feel as if things are enough, things are okay, are never enough. For human beings, as for all beings, including organizations as erudite as even, for instance, the Catholic Church, survival is always job one. And the capacity to do that, our capacity to survive, arises from the energy of desire. Desire for sense pleasure that fulfills our needs for food, shelter, and reproduction. And our desire for becoming, for establishing a self, a sense of self and identity that is able to navigate life on a moment-by-moment, day-to-day basis. All of these things are essential for survival. However, even after we have exceeded the levels of survival, we often, almost inevitably, find ourselves still controlled by desire. And sometimes that desire can degrade into craving. So I usually wear, as many of you might have observed, a quarter zip sweater or sweatshirt. I don't have the courage to count how many of them I have. I would be embarrassed to tell you how many I have. I think the number that I have is way above the minimum for survival, for keeping warm. And yet, every time a catalog comes, I take a look. Oh, is there going to be another new quarter zip in there that I'm sure I have to have? And on and on. So I read something recently that really captures this. The issue, of course, is that there will never truly be enough. Not enough time for all the healthy activities and doing nothing. Not enough money for the healthiest food and supplements, and to take time off work for enough rest. Not enough days that go according to our well-laid plans. Not enough time with the people we love. These real lives of ours are messy. They refuse to run perfectly according to agenda and spreadsheets and timetables. There is so much that is uncomfortable and unpredictable about them. Like grief, it's easier to pretend or live in denial. It's easier to brush this reality under the rug and pretend that we are in control of it all. But of course we're not. We will have to make hard choices, imperfect choices, each step of the way. We will be required to sift through competing tensions and desires on a daily basis. Hang out with our daughter, fully present, or get in some extra movement. Write or meditate. Buy organic apples or stay in budget. Lie on the couch and read or seek out community. These are the realities of never enough, and how often acquiring and accomplishing can put us in a place of unskillfully trying to satisfy this never enoughness only to make it worse. Only to make it worse. So let's do a little meditation around this. A couple of deep breaths. I know I need to let go of a little extra tension here. And settling in. And softening. Turning our attention to our breathing. Sensing this experience of breathing in our bodies. Sometimes we want to just focus on a specific area of our body where breathing is especially manifest. And other times, just feeling it in the whole body. And thinking now about these words, never enough in your life. What do those words mean to you? How do they show up for you? Sometimes the experience of never enough can actually be helpful. Sometimes acquiring and accomplishing can be useful and beneficial to do. So recalling a specific experience when you had a sense of not enough, and that led to some skillful action on your part. Some action or behavior that was of benefit to you and or to people around you. Noticing the ways that you were energized by the feelings of not enough, and how that energy helped you do something skillful. And noticing how this experience left you feeling. The feeling of doing something out of a sense of what had to be done, what needed to be done. That whatever the situation was not enough. and you were energized and able to do something beneficial. Resting with that feeling, getting to know it. And now coming back to your breathing, letting go of that experience. Taking a few breaths. And now recalling an experience when there was a feeling of not enough, and it led you into some action that was really unhelpful. It led you into some kind of acquiring or accomplishing that turned out not to be good for you or not to be good for others. Recalling the adverse impacts on yourself or others. Noticing whatever feelings of discomfort or discontent are present. And familiarizing with those feelings. Knowing what it's like to feel the adverse effects of acquiring and accomplishing born out of craving. Noticing the difference in feelings between when we do something that's skillful and of benefit and we do something that's born out of craving. The value of mindfulness here is in the awareness around the initial urge to acquire or accomplish. Knowing whether that urge is arising out of the opportunity to do something beneficial or it's craving for one more quarter zip sweater. We know how the difference in these experiences shows up in our bodies. Using those feelings as a reference point. Becoming very familiar with what craving feels like. And as we notice the presence of craving, we can begin expanding our awareness on each in-breath to create a little space. That space where we can make choices. That space where we can observe what's going on and knowing that it's craving, that it's not skillful desire. And in that space, we can allow the craving to be present, observing it, and letting it go. We might even investigate when there's enough space and say, what's underneath this craving? What emotion or fear or anxiety is underneath? And what can I learn from it? The reflection question for this morning is, what are you learning about how excess desire, craving, shows up in you? What sensations go with it? What are you learning about how you might change your relationship with awareness to the presence of craving? How does craving show up in you? How might you change your relationship to it?